Welcome to this episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. I'm Aric.
And I'm Angie.
We are married with a ton of kids.
We have 6 kids total. He has 3 and I have 3.
My name's Hallie and I love riding horses.
I'm Lexi and I love agriculture.
My name's Carter and I love eating.
My name's Chace and I love lifting weights.
My name's Summer and I love spending my parents' money.
I'm Dane and I love baseball.
Our show is about our blended, blessed, and always a mess life. And our hope is if you find yourself in the same situation we are in, that by sharing our story, all the fun and all the mess, the challenges we are experiencing, it will give you some inspirations, laughs, and community, knowing you are not alone in this mess.
We appreciate you spending time with us. Let's dive in.
Welcome to this week's episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess, where we continue to just have busy, exciting weeks. It's what we do. It's why we started the podcast to begin with, right? A little tweak this week in the fact that we had not just sports, but I crammed a little surgery in on us.
Yeah, just a little surgery.
In recovery currently.
Right.
In some pain. Playing through the pain, as the athletes would say.
Yes.
Not at 100% today.
You're probably at 30%.
I was going to go... Well, I don't know. I was going to go 50, but I'm pretty optimistic, I guess.
Yeah, I'd say you're at 30%.
So we're making it. In that process, though, I was able at least to get out. So I had surgery 3 days ago, a multiple hernia operation. And so getting up and down is a thing. But I was able to get to Chace's wrestling match last night and just got back from Carter's first varsity basketball game this afternoon. So getting some things done as I wince because I'm in some pain.
Yeah, as you walk around like a 80-year-old man. Yeah,
people at the events last night, again, today are like, you don't look very good. Thank you. Thank you for noticing that I don't look very good.
You're definitely hunched over. You can tell you're in pain, but you also look like you got a knife fight on your face. And let's talk about that.
Yes.
This is a first. Actually, there's a lot of firsts this week. It's a first for you to have an actual real surgery, I feel like, right?
Yeah.
You had wisdom teeth, right?
I had my nose reconstructed at 17. On my basketball, I broke my nose really badly playing basketball. That was, almost 25 years ago.
Right.
So, don't even really remember what that was like. I'm living at home at the time. So, yes, as an adult, my first real surgery. And so that was, an experience.
It was an experience and a first where you actually needed me to help take care. I don't know if you guys remember on one of our previous podcasts, this little guy was nervous that I was not going to take good care of him. So it was a first for me to actually take care of someone post-surgery too. So lots of firsts, but
you're doing a good job.
Thank
I appreciate you.
I know he was actually really surprised. I got him a robe and slippers, and I'm like, I will actually take care of you. But
grateful.
But after his surgery, when they called me back, I walk into this little room and I'm like, what happened to your face? And Eric's like, oh, it burns a little bit, but like they were removing some tape and removed some of my skin. Well, he hadn't seen it. So I took a picture of it and showed it to him. And he's like, oh my God. I mean, he literally has a whole strip across his cheek of skin ripped off.
It looks awful. People are like, oh my God, what happened to your face? And I'm like, well, they went in and fixed my groin, my hernias, and they tore up my face. That's what happened.
It's very odd. Very odd.
Hoping it heals with minimal scarring. I would be lying if I didn't say that I was nervous about the potential of a big scar across my cheek because it's pretty noticeable. I mean,
it's pretty It's not a little spot. It is entirely probably a 3/4 of an inch strip all the way across his cheek, his face.
Yes. Yeah. But I would say that as great of a job as you have done, maybe even a bigger surprise to me this week has been how much your children have shown up for me to help take care of Doback.
I know.
Their bonus dad. So
I'm grateful for that because I had Wednesday, the day of his surgery, kind of minimal meetings. But I did not, this was a fail on my part, I did not change my schedule on Thursday. And so I ended up having back-to-back meetings.
Crazy day Thursday.
Was insane. Not the most memorable day from a work perspective, but Hallie always comes between classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays and she came Thursday morning and literally, there's always a silver lining to challenges, right? So he's in a ton of pain. And Hallie just like swoops in. The one that does not like people.
Not only that, like Hallie and I have the least relationship just because of age, right? Like when you and I started dating, she turned 18 a couple months after that and then graduated and was off to college. So I've spent the least amount of time.
From a bonus dad-daughter perspective.
Yeah, I've spent the least amount of time being able to develop relationship with Hallie. You know, that's always been easier with Chace and Summer because they live in our house. But all of a sudden, here's Hallie, and she showed up, and she knocked it out of the park.
She took charge.
I couldn't have been more proud of her. I couldn't have felt better about our relationship and just what a grown up she was in taking care of me the way she did. It was really awesome.
And she cared.
She had a heart.
She really cared. And even I would say this week as well, there were several scenarios just in our group chat where our crew, as we've tried to kind of show them example of being a team, where they've really just like leaned in and really supported each other through Snapchat because we're not all together, right? And really, that's like our means of communication as a team is through Snapchat. And, you know, a couple of the kiddos just sharing different things and everyone just weighed in. Because I'll tell you, when we first started dating, if someone would share something kind of vulnerable, it was almost like make fun of each other almost. Yeah, like, shut it down.
Somebody's feelings were hurt. It was always really bad.
Yeah,
this was just different experience this week.
Yeah, and I think just sharing, too, that you can get to that spot. We're 3 years in, and I know on one of our podcasts, Lynn Roush had shared, it's 5 to 7 years. So we're 3 years in, and we're at a point where it's like, wow, they genuinely are caring about each other and us, right? So Hallie really swooped in and really helped for several hours, helped you looking up stuff, looking up food, best food to eat, like all these things, typing some stuff up on the computer, like just so helpful. And Chace is the other one.
Yeah.
Huge help.
Huge help helping me get in and out of bed. I mean, Summer has too.
Yeah.
All three of your kids. And again, my kids aren't here this week.
Yeah.
We just happen to have your kids this week when we normally wouldn't. And they've just shown up huge.
So grateful that they're here.
Yeah. They've done a great job. And I've really just appreciated that and just shows what kind of relationship building that we've all done together over the last 3 years. And just really, really cool. So couldn't be more grateful for what they've done. But then they've also showed up
for each other
this week, which is such a cool thing because I couldn't get to all the events that I normally would, and then you were trying to help me, and then Chace and Summer would have events at the same time because Chace is in wrestling and Summer's in basketball. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so Summer had a basketball tournament at Harrisburg, which is actually the school that Carter goes to, and Carter went to every one of her games. Now, it's funny, I didn't share this with you, but tonight Summer's like, well, you told him to go. I'm like, Summer, I'll show you my text. I did not tell Carter to go to your games. He would text me and say, hey, what time's her game? Where is she playing? And him and his buddies would show up. And I was able to go to one game where they were there. And it was, I'd text Aric. I'm like, it's the freaking coolest thing. I'm stressing about work because that was Thursday when it was not a good day. And it just made me smile. And it's like, this is what it's all about. Because anytime Summer would shoot, then Carter and his friends would stand up and cheer. And it was just cool to see that level of support when we couldn't be there.
And they don't go to the same school.
Right.
I think that makes it so like they don't go to the same school, but they spend enough time hanging out at the pool in the summer together, at our house playing ping pong, all the things that all of a sudden
all their friends
Carter
know each other.
and his buddies showed up and they were cheering on Summer all week long.
They even want the boys. Of course, I think there might be one or two that like Summer, but still, they were like, "Oh, we want to take a picture after the game. Will you take our picture?" I'm like, "What is happening?"
Yeah, it's so cool.
And Carter gave me a big hug in front of all the other family. It was like a great ending to a very rough day. But we just share that because it takes a long time to get to that point. Now, they're still going to bicker and get frustrated with each other. But I think you do have to look through the lens of like, wow, we've come a long way.
Yeah, for sure.
And Lexi went to one of Summer's games as well. So just lots of solid support when things are tough. And it's kind of like, oh man, they might actually take care of us when we get old. There's a glimmer.
I hadn't thought about that, but maybe.
They might actually take care of us.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this is the first time I've thought, oh, God, this is what it's going to be like to be 80.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. I'm going to tell
and
you right now.
And you need each other.
I mean, whoo-wee.
Yeah, we're both super independent.
This is what I think you learn about, like, okay, well, this is not the sexy part of marriage.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
This is not look at me, honey. No, do not look at me. I am not attractive in this moment.
There was definitely some moments like that.
Thank you. I'm aware. And it's one of those where you're like, oh, God, well, I guess this is what we're going to be doing when we're older, and it's not so sexy. So
yeah, it's, there's the good, bad, and ugly of relationships for sure.
That's where we're at. And now I'm dying to get well so that I can get back to the gym is what I've learned.
Well, the other thing I will say, too, because we've talked about this a lot, is Aric does a ton around the house. A ton. Like 80% of the stuff around the house, I feel like. And man, do you quickly realize how much someone does around the house when they can't do it.
Is this a compliment to me?
It's a little bit of a compliment. I'm like, oh, dang. Because I have had the kids all week. One morning, Chace had wrestling practice at 6 a.m. And then they had an early release, so I do a lot of driving. And normally,
I would have stepped in.
Aric would have been like, I'll make one trip for you. I'll go run at the early out. Man, I had Amber. I called her one morning. Could you bring my kids to school? Had my parents pick Chace up. I mean, you have to call in the troops to help out when then it's like, gosh, dang, he does so much around here. So definitely appreciate that.
I have gotten the evil eye a time or two this week.
Yes, it's like it feels like he doesn't think I can do laundry. Because he's like in there, I'll do the laundry. No, sit your ass down.
I've done a lot of laundry for having surgery 72 hours ago.
Yes.
And it ticks her off, but I keep doing it.
It's fine.
Today's one of those days I might have pushed it a hair too much. I did laundry. I made the
wrapped
bed.
Christmas presents.
And I'm sore tonight. I feel pained this evening. So
too much.
But again, a great week to learn about where we're at with our kids and where we're at with each other as far as just being there and showing up for each other. And again, couldn't be just more excited about the relationships that we've built with our kids to watch them show up for each other. And then again, watch your kids show up for me this week when I needed them and didn't know how that would go. And they did. They showed up and they knocked it out of the park. So
yeah, it was awesome.
It's called leadership.
It's called You know what that's called? Leadership.
Which brings us to our next topic of the day as the door slowly opens.
Well, hello.
I've been watching that door handle go up and down for the last. Go ahead and shut the door.
Big C's making his. Is this your second or third appearance on the podcast? I'm going to tell a little story. Get situated here.
Yes, we're adding to the podcast right now.
So I'm going to tell a little story. Every week on Fridays, I send out an email to my team, and the list has just kind of grown bigger and bigger. And I always try to tell some sort of story that relates back to work. So it's called Friday Feels. And this week, I actually featured Chace because I was at Summer's basketball game Thursday night, and one of the teachers came up to me, and I'll just give you a little backstory. I mean, Chace, with the boy-girl twins, they're totally different. They're alike and different in a lot of ways. So Summer's, studious, kind of, teachers like her because she's,
she's not talking back. She's doing her work.
Back, all of the things, never really gets in trouble.
Some would say a brown noser.
Maybe a little bit.
I don't.
And then you have Chace from probably 4th grade on. He's a challenger. He's a challenger and a jokester and enjoys a good debate.
You know what that's called?
Leadership. I remember actually when you were like in 3rd or 4th grade and we had like parent-teacher conference, and one of the teachers, it might have been Miss Fitzpatrick, but I remember one of them saying, he is going to be an amazing leader one day because leaders are not sheep. They're not like followers, and they're challengers and all the qualities that Chace has. However, that's not something teachers love. They don't like the challenger. They don't like the debate. Parents don't actually 100% love that all the time either.
Yeah, there's definitely times like, just shut up and do it. All right, just shut up.
Just stop arguing. So when teachers approach me, I'm always kind of like, oh, God, what happened?
What's going to happen now? What happened today?
So she approached me at the game, and she was like, hey, have you heard about Chace's speech, like what his topic was? And then again, I'm like, oh, God, what was it? Anyway, she's like, it was one of my favorites. You've got to have him read it to you. So that night I got home and I'm like, all right, Chace, I want to know what this speech is about. And he didn't want to read it to me at first, but
let me say, then his sister stepped in summer. She was like, no, it's really good. Yeah, she was in class and like, it's really good.
Chace, do you want to tell us about your speech?
Yeah. So in our speech, we have two SMART goals, and our SMART goals is like something that's measurable and something that will happen at some point this year or next year following like sports, we have 2 goals. So it could be inside of school and outside of school. Well, my first goal was my wrestling goal. So my wrestling goal, I want to lose 4 or less matches. I'm doing pretty good this year so far, so I think I want to meet the goal. But then my other goal was be a better leader, because I'm in leadership, and this is the class we write this goal in. So I'm writing this speech, and I'm just talking about me and other things, and I started to get onto this topic about how it's a struggle on how to be better. Like better leader. Ever since 4th grade, I've been judged by these teachers because they all have this certain layer over me to where I'm a bad kid, or they have to keep their eye on me, otherwise I'm going to do something stupid. Which I will admit, sometimes I have done some things that probably I shouldn't have done. But at some point, you just got to realize that people can change, because everyone changes. Everyone changes at some point in their life, and they can either become better or worse. A lot of people become better. That's what I've been trying to be. And it's really hard to be a better person when someone doesn't let you be. And that's a main thing I've had to accomplish. I had to accomplish.
Changing the perception some teachers have.
Yeah. I've been trying to be better, but it's hard. It's just hard to be better when you have this certain few teachers that decide that you have this layer over you that you're always going to be this bad kid. They don't let you change. It's going to be hard to change.
And so then that inspired you then for this speech, or?
Yeah. So the way I kind of look at it is, and I try to tell people this, is like if someone's trying to change and try to be better, and I've been trying to tell teachers this, but then they assume I'm trying to talk back and stuff like that, which sometimes it might come out as talking back. But if someone's trying to change, I think they deserve more respect than to be viewed as someone they're not or someone they used to be. And I don't think you should be able to use something like that against them if you're trying to be better. Say it's hard to be better when someone doesn't let you be.
So do you think it's like a forgiveness thing? Do you think that how do you think a teacher should let you be different? You know what I mean? What would you like to see change in that scenario?
I would like to, not like I'm begging for a second chance, but to where I receive something more than just to be looked at as the same kid I used to be. And in my opinion, I don't think I am the same kid. I've tried to change, and I think I have changed. And I think that deserves more respect.
I saw you just last week at Summer's basketball games in your school. You were going around picking up the other kids' trash out of the bleachers when there were timeouts. And some of the teachers were noticing that. It was a very responsible thing that you were doing. You go to a high school, a junior high game, and kids are throwing candy wrappers and soda bottles and water bottles and popcorn all over. And for whatever reason, Chace was cleaning it all up, which is saving somebody a job. Nobody asked him to do it. Yeah. And that was the kind of a cool thing. And that is leadership, right? It's doing things that you're not asked to do that are making the environment around you better. It's things like that I see you doing. And I see you reaching out to other kids even that might be in a hard place and showing up for other kids that could use your help. And I think that's another way that you describe leadership, is showing up for people when they need you and don't maybe know that they need you.
Like showing up for Aric.
Yeah, showing up for me this week. Yeah.
Another thing I also try to do is the reason I think I did get in trouble a lot is because the main reason I think I would mess around, or whatever they assume is messing around, is I like to make kids happy if they look sad. I like to make people smile. That's the main reason. Aric would know this. I mess with him a lot. And
that's
most of the time is just because I like to make people have a little chuckle every now and then. I think this leads into one of my other goals involving leadership, or my quotes. Going to leadership this is one of my favorite quotes, is if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, and do more, and become more, you are a leader. A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. I think this shows how people can be a leader. I mean, if you lead a group, we're not all sheeps. I like to lead a pack. I don't like to be in the pack. I mean, there's a difference. I like leading the pack is showing the way, improving the way, so people go the way. There's two roads that you can take. One's being a leader, one's being a follower. If you're a follower, you might not learn more, and you're not going to be as confident. You're a bigger person if you're a leader. If you're not to be like negative, but you're a smaller person if you just follow. You're not going to be able to get a whole lot of places in life if you're just a follower. Like these NBA players or NFL players, they didn't follow the way. They were showing the way. They showed the way that to get to the NFL. They showed the way to get those scouts to watch them. They just showed the way. They didn't follow it. They did new things.
When I read your speech when you were reading it, it just made me think of a lot of key points that you pointed out. Like one of the things that I love that you said was you kind of were talking about wrestling, and that last year you had lost 6 matches, and you said because you weren't in the right mindset to learn, and you just wanted to win, not really learn from your losses. So do you want to talk a little bit about that? Like, how do you change your mindset because that's a huge growth for you. Like you know, a year or two ago didn't really want to hear feedback, but then like when you're in a sport, you have to get feedback. And so what would be your tip for others that maybe are in a similar situation? Like, how do you change your mindset to be more open to feedback and try to learn from the suck of it? Because mistakes are hard. No one likes that. But then if you can learn from it, that's growth. That's leadership.
So I believe the reason I lost those 6 matches last year is because I wasn't in the right mind to learn. And the reason I know, and for a fact I wasn't in the right mind to learn, is because all I want to do is win. You're not going to get in life if you just want to win and be successful. Like The Rock or Dwayne Johnson. Same person. But he was homeless at some point, but look at who he is now. He's a ripped, shredded guy that's a movie actor that we all probably wanted to be at some point in our lives. But he wasn't successful his whole entire life, but he also didn't win his whole entire life. He learned from failure. In wrestling, I lost those 6 matches because I wanted to be a winner. I wanted to win all my matches. I want to go out there and pin the guy and get my new PR. And this year, I have changed my mind to where I want to learn from my losses. If you don't learn from failure and you just win all the time, you're not going to get anywhere. It's just easier to learn more from your failure, from your wins. Our coach tells us all the time, he'd rather see us lose to a good wrestler and try our best and put all the moves we've learned out there than win to a bad wrestler and not do our best because we just want to win. There's a lot more to failure than there is to winning.
That's your growth right there. I mean, everyone who's successful in life, you know, whether that was Steve Jobs at Apple, whether that's Elon Musk with Tesla, whether that's, you know, whomever it might be, The Rock, as you mentioned. I mean, they've learned from their failures in life. And the most successful people have also failed the most because they've taken those failures and they've learned from them, and it's made them better, and it's turned them into leaders because leaders aren't afraid to fail. But if all you're focused on is, as you said, winning all the time, you're going to skim over the losses. You're not going to learn anything from the losses, and it's not going to help you to be better as a whole in the long run. And to me, that is one of the biggest areas of growth for you over the last year, is just watching you be more open to saying, okay, I'm going to fail sometimes, but I'm not going to lose my mind and just get mad about everything. You're going to learn from it and move on.
Yeah, so I don't remember exactly how this whole entire quote goes. I just remember bits of it. This coach was saying to this football team they lost a state champion or something like that. They lost, and his coach is like, winners do all this work and think they're doing little, but lazy people do a lot of work to them and they're doing nothing in life. It's like if you're lazy and you don't want to go out there and learn and be better and be a better person for yourself and be the better person in life, and you're lazy and you go and apply for a job at McDonald's, well, that's not going to get you anywhere in life. But if you're a winner and you go out there and you try your best, you dress up nice, you get a clean cut, you go to this nice job application and you get a nice job somewhere higher up than McDonald's and you're doing work, you still might think you're a smaller person, just because you're working at Menards, not McDonald's. There's a bigger difference in life. It's better to be the manager, not the coworker. You do better, you learn more, you become the better leader, become the better person. That's how you become successful in life, is learn from your mistakes and take your mistakes and turn them into a lesson. I think goals are also a way to get the next level in life. You got to set smaller goals so you can achieve them. If you set high goals and you don't achieve them, then you're going to come sad and you're going to think you're bad at everything. But if you set smaller goals, it's just like the next level. You get to the next level, and then you keep going. And then you keep going. You get the higher job. You get the higher rank in your job. You become the owner or a co-owner or the CEO or something. You just keep doing better in life if you set smaller goals and be better.
It's really good, man. That's really smart. I like it a lot. I also do want to acknowledge that we do need those workers at McDonald's because since COVID, the drive-thru has gotten so slow.
And they actually don't pay that bad.
Yeah, so we do need everyone. But yes, I see what you're saying. From the leadership perspective, I love the aspect of, it's like the dress for the job that you want, not the job that you have.
Yeah.
You want to go get that higher up job and keep moving forward, and then that's what you do. That's super proud of you. And from the time that we met a few years ago, it's just an incredible amount of growth.
The one thing in your speech that made me chuckle a little bit, you kind of alluded to it, just setting goals as a way to get to the next level in life. And you're going to have some bumps in the road. And then you say you're just going to have to get bigger tires and go over top of them. I love that.
That was a great part of your speech. Just get bigger tires and go over the bumps in the road. That's awesome. Sometimes that is what you do, right? You just come up with a different plan that go over the bumps in the road that you're facing. And so I just thought, all in all, obviously your teacher thought it was really good to bring it to our attention. We wanted to share it on the podcast because I know there are so many kids that listen to the podcast that they struggle on a day-to-day basis, just knowing what's right, what's wrong. And then, there's lots of parents that are listening going, I don't know if my kid's getting it in one way or the other. And over the last couple of years, it just feels like, things are clicking for you in a way that you're seeing it's okay to fail and to grow from that. And it's okay for you to want to lead other kids and to be, help them get to a better spot.
Well, another thing is talking about the parent position. I think another thing that parents can do is not go out there and have their kid play baseball and then get mad at them if they did something wrong. You got to tell them what they did wrong and then tell them how they can learn from it. You can't get mad at the kid for a loss they had and then tell them that they should have done better. They're not going to learn from that if you just tell them they should do better. If you go out there and you tell your kid to do their best and they end up doing bad, well, you just got to keep them going and keep them going proud and keep them happy. You can tell them what they did wrong, but you can't just tell them they did something wrong and then expect them to do better next time. You could just tell them they did something wrong and then let them learn from it and tell them to learn from it and not tell them to learn from it, but teach them how to learn from it.
Do you feel like we're doing that for you?
For the most part, yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, what else do you want to share on leadership? Otherwise, you've done a great job, and we're just super proud of you. I wanted to share that with everybody.
Leadership is a way to be the person that's noticed. You're going to be more noticed in life if you're the one that's cheering people up and going and making people happy, not the one that's sitting in the back of the classroom just watching everyone be successful. It's easier to become more and be looked at if you're a leader. Now, all the time by a teacher, maybe not so. But if you're just looked at as a leader and you could try to be a leader and you're out there following people or showing the people the way, Jesus, and not to bring but Jesus.
I was going to go Jesus, so go ahead. You go there first. That's
Jesus
where I was going to go.
Wasn't just a follower his whole entire life. He tried to get people to follow him. He tried to get people to believe that he was Jesus. He tried to get people to believe him. And all the people that didn't believe him, they regretted it. He was the way. And you can be the way in life too. You can show the way. You can be the way, just like Jesus did.
That's awesome, buddy. Really proud of you. I was going to say that. I was going to ask you if you were up for some feedback, and I was going to talk about Jesus like showing the way, and then I would just take that and lead into what your mom does so well as a leader, and that is your next step in leadership, since now you've taken this big step forward in it already. 14 years old, so this is really cool that you're doing this. He's not quite 14. He's 13 for another couple weeks. And the fact that you're seeing this is your mom is a great servant leader. And that's what Jesus was too. Like he was a leader, but he was a servant leader. And so now as you continue to grow in that leadership role that I see you starting to see yourself in, and I really love what you're saying, is to see how, when you talk about making other people happy and you talk about making kids when they're having a bad day, want to smile, that's that servant leadership that is so important and builds other people up. And I think that's going to be a great next area for you because your heart is already so big that you're going to be really good at serving other people in that regard.
Yeah, I would say servant leadership is picking up the trash at the game when no one asks you to, but you're not saying, look at me, everybody, I'm picking up trash. You just go do it and other people see, oh my gosh, there's Chace. He is picking up the trash. So that's a great example of you're showing the way, you're doing it, but you're being humble about it. You're not saying, hey, I just did that. Like someone had to come tell me, and they actually sent me a picture of you picking up trash saying, oh my gosh, he's cleaning up. So that's a great example of servant leadership.
Another example of being a leader is that if you guys have watched The Office, I know a lot of people
it's one of my
have.
favorite shows, yeah.
Yeah. Everyone wanted Michael as the boss, but they didn't want Dwight. A lot of people might have been one person that wanted Dwight, but people wanted Michael as a boss. They dreaded to have Dwight as a boss. They wanted Michael. He was a better leader. I mean, he might not have been the best boss every time, but no one wanted Dwight. It just depends. If you're a good leader, people are going to follow you. They wanted Michael. They didn't want Dwight.
Funny you bring that up because with my surgery, I think it was Thursday night when your mom was gone, I got to watch that entire last 6 episodes of The Office. And it is funny that over the last 6 episodes, Dwight became a servant leader. And then in the last 2 episodes, then they wanted him to lead. But the first 9 seasons, they didn't because it was all about Dwight. And then once at the end of it, he started to care more about the employees, then they wanted him to take over and lead. So it's a great point that you make about servant leadership. And again, we're just super proud of Chace and the growth that he has had and really our whole crew for the growth that they have had over this last week. And buddy, we appreciate you coming on. I know that sometimes as a 13-year-old, it can be embarrassing to hop on here and talk about stuff like that, but that's leadership.
Sometimes it's a little embarrassing, especially when your friends find out, but you just got to not care about people's opinions sometimes.
That's right. You know what that's called?
Leadership.
All right. Well, guys, it's Thanksgiving this coming week, and so we hope whatever you're doing, if you're going to spend time with family or friends, that you have a very great week, that you get some time to stop and be thankful and grateful for all the good that you've got in your life. We're thankful for you and the fact that you do spend some time listening to our podcast each week and listen to our journeys with our family. And we can't wait to talk to you again next week and see how Thanksgiving went for everybody. We're looking forward to having some guests on in the near future, too, that we can continue to talk with other blended families about what it's like for them. So thanks for being a part of this week's episode of Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. We thank Chace, and hope you guys have a wonderful week. Happy Thanksgiving, and God bless. Thank you for listening to Blended, Blessed, and Always a Mess. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and at blendedblessedalwaysamess.com.
Reach out to us on any of our social channels. We would love to hear from you. Have a great week.